Hello everyone, Jace here with some Yu-Gi-Oh news. First up is some bad news. The World Championship for 2022 is going to be cancelled due to current world situations according to the Konami press release. But moving on to card reveals, first up we have Artemis Slay from the new Power of the Elements set in the OCG. It's a normal spell card that reads, your opponent counter-activate monster effects in response to the activation of this card. Send one monster from your extra deck to the graveyard. Then target one monster your opponent controls with the same monster card type, Fusion, Synchro, Xyz, Pendulum, or Link. Return that monster to the deck. So I think this card is okay. It's not great, like it's not going to be seen play in every single deck, but it's not completely terrible. Being a normal spell, it is only good going second really, but being unrespondable basically means it's amazing at breaking boards, but like it's only single target, so it only deals with one monster, instead of like Dark Ruler No More or Forbidden Droplets, which deals with multiple monsters. And you still have to have each card type in your extra deck to like be represented in order to use it. And not every extra deck monster type has good graveyard effects to really take advantage of that extra foolish burial-like effect. But some notable targets would be for fusions, you can send App Cologne to get your Shadal Schism to make Winda, or you can send Natis for another pop. For Synchros, you can send Omega for the Graveyard Recycle, or Wind Pegasus and Ignister for a spin to the deck. I can't really think of any good Xyz to really send. There's not many with good, like, generic grave effects. But for Links, there's at least one, which is Flaget for Tri-Brigade. And I don't think any Pendulum extra deck monsters actually have good effects in the graveyard. This card is also not once per turn, so if you have multiple, you could potentially dismantle 3 of your opponent's monsters. But extra deck space is really tight in most decks, so it's only good. This would only really see play in decks that already run cards like Natis or App Cologne or Flaget, or just have the extra deck space like Eldritch or some other control deck that doesn't really use the extra deck. Moving on to the next card from Power of the Elements, it's Mokey Mokey support. Stray Mokey Mokey. It's a fairy effect light level 1 with 300 attack and 100 defense. Its first effect is, while on the field or in the graveyard, this card is treated as a normal monster. Also, its name becomes Mokey Mokey. Its second effect is, you can discard this card, add one Mokey Mokey card from your deck to your hand, except Stray Mokey Mokey. So it's Mokey Mokey support, so it's obviously not going to be competitively viable, but it's actually decent support for a weird meme deck that only has 2 cards in the archetype that this can search. The first being the original Mokey Mokey, which is just a normal monster, and the second being Mokey Mokey Smackdown, which is a continuous spell that when your face-up fairy monster you control is destroyed, while you control Mokey Mokey, until the end of this turn, the attack of each Mokey Mokey control will become 3,000. And since it's counted as Mokey Mokey while on the field, that means you can stack your field full of 5 Mokey Mokeys basically, and they all have 300 attack, 3,000 attack, which is pretty good. It definitely can OTK, it's just not very, it's probably not going to be very reliable, even for a meme deck. But it being treated as in the graveyard as Mokey Mokey is also interesting, because Mokey Mokey King says you can special summon as many Mokey Mokeys as possible by attributing itself. So that means you could potentially summon 5 Mokey Mokeys for Link plays or any other Synchro plays, Link plays, whatever extra deck plays you want. But it's still just kind of not very good. It's also not once per turn, which is interesting. Its search targets aren't that great, so that doesn't really matter, which is probably why they didn't care about not making it once per turn. But it's still interesting. And lastly, for the Power of the Elements reveals, is a new Amazement trap. It's Amaze Attraction Thrill Train, which is a normal trap card that reads, you can only use the second effect of this card's name once per turn. First effect, target one Amazement monster you control, or one face-up monster your opponent controls, equip this card to it. Second effect, you can activate the following effect based on which player controls the equipped monster. If you control the equipped monster, change the battle position of the equipped monster, and if you do, your opponent chooses an attraction trap in your graveyard, set that card to your field. If your opponent controls the equipped monster, banish the equipped monster until the end phase. So this is also just another piece of okay support for an okay deck. Amazements really do not have a good payoff, and this is definitely not helping them in that department. I mean, it's okay interaction. Banishing until the end phase kind of sucks because it's not permanent, and there's definitely better like normal traps, generic normal traps that do this job. But I mean, since it's searchable, it's okay because it's interruption. And its first effect when it's equipped to your monster is just kind of okay. I mean, recycling a trap is good, but your opponent gets a choice. I mean, it doesn't really matter because the only good attraction Speller Trap is really just Horror House, which is basically a Book of Moon. And the other ones are just kind of meh. The second best one's probably Viking Vortex. But other than that, your opponent getting the choice doesn't really matter because you're only really playing Horror House, I think. So overall, this card is just kind of okay. I mean, Amazements definitely need better attraction Speller Traps than just a Banish until the end phase or a Book of Moon. Like, their effects are basically just generic, done better by generic cards. Last up is a new card from the Legends of the Crystal Structure deck coming up in the OCG. It's a Rainbow Dragon retrain. Rainbow Dragon Overdrive is a Light Dragon fusion effect. It's level 12 with 4,000 attack and 0 defense. Its materials are 1 Ultimate Crystal monster and 7 Crystal Beast monsters. This card is always treated as an Ultimate Crystal card. Must be special summoned from your extra deck during a turn you special summon an Ultimate Crystal monster by banishing the above cards from your field or graveyard. First effect, if you have 7 or more banished Crystal Beast monsters with different names, this card gains 7,000 attack. Second effect, if this card has not battled during this turn, quick effect, you contribute this card. Shuffle as many cards on the field into the deck as possible, and if you do, special summon any number of your banished Crystal Beast monsters. So this is not really what Crystal Beasts need to actually be like even a competitively rogue deck. The problem is that it still requires you to summon Ultimate Crystal monsters, which basically means just the OG Rainbow Dragon, and that requires you to play all the bad Crystal Beasts, and the only good ones are Sapphire Pegasus and Ruby Carbuncle. So you're basically just playing a bunch of bricks in your deck. I mean, its quick effect is strong, being able to shuffle, like clear your opponent's entire board and then soul charge all your Crystal Beasts back, but it's really not worth the effort to actually summon it. And like gaining 7,000 attack just to become an 11,000 attacker is kind of overkill, honestly. So yeah, this is this kind of disappointing, honestly, as someone who enjoys the design of Crystal Beasts. Hopefully they'll actually introduce more cards that would actually help the deck, like a retrain of the Crystal Beast or more Crystal Beasts potentially. But this will be it for today's news segment. Comment below what you think about these new cards, and please like the video and subscribe, and I'll see you guys next time.